Hey, how you guys doing? It's Ruben with Help Find the Others. Again, I want to thank everyone that has, sent some love my way and left a comment or emailed me. I've had some Skype chats with people. You know, uh, it's great, man. I set my little beacon off in the universe, and I'm just really amazed by the amount of positivity that is, just gravitated towards it, and it's awesome, man. So, yeah, definitely if you're watching my videos, please hit subscribe, please hit thumbs up, and we'll just keep this thing growing, man, and just make all the connections and fill in the gaps that are needed to take this consciousness psychedelic movement and revolution to the forefront, man. We got to start talking about this stuff. We got to start talking to each other and being nice and everything. And I think that our little movement here can really do a big part in just healing society right now. So while I was looking through the comments, I saw a couple, kind of negative comments, and they both relate to the same topic that I knew was the only thing that, you put something on the internet, someone's going to have something, to say about it, right? Well, I knew that topic would be dosage, so that's what I wanted to talk about today. Okay, so I saw some comments on my 5 dried grams in Silent Darkness video, and they were that 5 grams isn't that much, and that this other thing that I see, and I see people say this on message boards and stuff like that, so I knew that would find its way into the YouTube comments. But saying that 5 grams isn't a lot, saying that 5 grams isn't heroic, while it may be a lot, okay? So, well, that's just terminology. That's just an adjective. You could use that to explain any dosage, right? If your intention is heroic, well, then that's heroic, right? Because anyone who goes from not taking psychedelic mushrooms or psychedelic drugs in general and says, there's something more to reality, like, I feel like we're not seeing the whole picture here, and does the research and sees the psychedelic thing might be a little peek behind the veil like they want, right? So they take 1 gram of mushrooms or half a tab of acid or whatever that someone would consider not that much. Well, that intention is heroic. So I would call that a heroic dose. Now, if they do 1 grams again, maybe that's not heroic. Maybe your first time trying it is heroic, and that's it. I don't know. Anyway, it's just a word, and the only reason I used it in that video is just because I'm referencing Terence McKenna. That's what he called it. There you go. Terence and Dennis, who are like 2 of the most important psychonauts that there's ever been, suggest 5 grams in Silent Darkness. And these are dudes that I don't know if anyone's ever read their account of the experiment at La Chorrera, but look it up, listen to a YouTube video of him talking about it, or read Dennis's book. He has a real good description of it. Anyway, they ate, so many mushrooms, there's no way you could ever count it up. There's no way. They were eating them fresh out of a pasture, and they were smoking an MAO inhibitor, bark with a MAO inhibitor, and they were so far out there, but still suggest 5 grams to people. Now, they do suggest 5 dried grams to be your first dose. Like Terrence said, people mess around taking piss amp doses, as he said. And I don't really agree with that. I think everyone should just try a little bit just to see or whatever. But I do feel, and what they're getting at is that 5 grams is the threshold of you can be fully immersed, but you're also not going to, run out into traffic or whatever. I don't know. Not that happens on psychedelics, but you're still going to be in control and still be aware and not black out or whatever can happen at higher dosages. The other thing I have to say about saying that 5 grams isn't enough is that it's not on us to rate anybody else's experience. Your experience is your experience. That goes on in your brain. The importance of it and the meaning of it to your life is to be judged by nobody but you. So if you're afraid to take higher dosages because of you might get poisoned, well, that's not going to happen with psilocybin, which my experiences with psilocybin dosage. So that's what I'm talking about. But the idea of having an intention to get to a certain level. I feel that, goes with any other psychedelic someone's intending to do. Just do your research as to what dosage sounds correct for you. I don't, I'm not going to make any claims about other drugs that I don't know about, but I've done a lot of research with psilocybin dosaging. And, I am a big guy. I'm 6'2", 260. I am very sensitive to psilocybin. It's hard for me to accurately microdose, which I'll talk about at the end of the video. But body weight, I see a lot of questions online of people like, I weigh this much, my girlfriend weighs this much, how much we take? You should both take the same amount. Psilocybin, as far as, the research that has been done with it, body weight doesn't really matter. Maybe your stomach, definitely your stomach capacity, like you want to be on an empty stomach, but, how you digest food could differ from person to person. The potency of the batch or the strain of the psilocybin mushroom could differ from experience to experience. But from what I've seen out of the research done at Johns Hopkins with their guided psilocybin trips, is they are giving them, purified or isolated psilocybin, but they are giving everyone the same dosage for the same trial, regardless of their body weight. They take down their body weight, but, they're not really like finding that makes a difference in the experience. And that's, in my experience, is the same way. I have friends that are smaller than me that can take a whole bunch of them and not have the same experience that I have. And I'm, floored by taking half of what they took and whatever, and I'm twice their size. The math doesn't add up to be able to accurately say body weight matters. So I that would be my advice to people asking about how much you should take, is read about the levels and the dosage that gets that level and try and get, the most potent ones that you can to get the most bang for your buck. But, unless you're like lab analyzing your batch, you're not going to know exactly how much psilocybin you're ingesting. So you need to really just do your research, like I said, and have an intention of what level you want to get to, and what dosage seems to be the general consensus of what will get you to that level. And don't listen to anyone who's like, oh, it's nothing until you get to 30 grams, or 7 grams is actually heroic, or whatever you see people say. You can't equate your experience to someone else. I'm sorry, it's just not right. Like, I had a time when a big batch came into my my grower, and we were drying them out, and we were like, wow, we have so many. And I was like, I'm just going to keep eating them until I can't eat them anymore. And I didn't weigh it out. This was at a time in my life where I didn't weigh out mushrooms. I just ate my percentage of the bag that I bought with people, And so, I don't know, I probably ate, judging by like my memory and whatever, I probably ate about 10 grams. And I had a terrible time. I freaked out in the middle of a Burger King and tried to run home, and ended up like jumping on the trampoline in the backyard of some random house. And then like the lights all came on, and my friends like grabbed me and thought the cops were going to come. And I mean, it was just a crazy time, right? But that's not, other than a goofy story about almost getting arrested, it wasn't a meaningful experience. Now, taking probably half of that dose with the intention of getting to a certain point, with doing the research and listening to the knowledge and the experience of other people that had very well documented accounts of the experience, I had a much more meaningful experience, and I was by myself. And I told a whole half-hour story that's different every time I tell it, because so much happened. Where like I can barely remember what happened when I took a higher dosage, except I was a complete idiot, and I'm lucky I didn't get arrested. So it's all about your intention. And don't listen to other people. Just because someone can do 30 grams doesn't mean I can, doesn't mean you can, doesn't mean anybody else can, right? Maybe there's only a handful of these people that can really handle like going that deep. I don't know. Nobody knows, because that's what we should get out of every psychedelic experience, is an underlying notion in the back of your head that none of us know shit, So like when if you have taken higher dosages and you haven't come to that notion that none of us know shit and I shouldn't give someone shit for not getting to the level I got to, you miss the point, you know? You might have had a really intense experience and seen some crazy things, but you missed the point of it all, you know? So I wanted to touch on microdosing for the end of this video. And again, this is an area where inevitably when someone asks a question, some trolls show up saying it's a waste of mushrooms. It is not, okay? Microdosing mushrooms has shown to be, I mean, but the scientific research has shown that it is very beneficial to your brain, okay? So it's a shame that it is illegal, but I think that we will reach a point in this country where you will be able to be prescribed microdoses of psilocybin because of it seems to be a very efficient cure for diseases that have nerve and brain neuron degradation. Okay, that it promotes what is called neurogenesis, and it can actually grow brain cells. You know, you always hear about, oh, don't drink, it kills brain cells. Well, psilocybin grows brain cells, and it does it. You don't have to have these huge, mystical moments on it and with these huge dosages to get the benefit. That microdosing will, still get you all the physical benefits of psilocybin for your brain. I'm not saying that everyone should be taking it, but it has shown, and I think it will be undeniable as more research is done. Like Johns Hopkins that did the mystical experience high dose studies just started a microdosing study, and I can't wait for the data to come out. Now it'll take a while, but I think it is a very, very effective therapy, and it's actually more what I do now with psilocybin than anything else is taking microdoses. And like I said, I'm very sensitive, so it's hard for me to dial in. I try to get to 0.1 grams and 0.10. If I take 0.15, I will feel it and be like, ooh, that's too much. I got to dial it back. I mean, I have to be very precise. And I don't take it every day. I follow James Fadiman. Came up with the idea of psilocybin microdosing, and he ran not full on like approved trials, but he ran some research projects and showed that a schedule of once every 3 days for 6 months, I think, or 3 months maybe. I'm sorry, I should have wrote it down. I have the book over on my shelf, but anyway, you can research it. It's James Fadiman, but doing it in that schedule, right? You take it, you have the effect, and then there's a come down day, a back to normal day, and then you can take it again. And when I say come down, I just mean chemically in your brain. I'm not saying that you're high and you're coming down the next day or there's a crash. In fact, it's probably the opposite. I think you have more of an afterglow the day after a microdose than the day of. But you want to cleanse your receptors in your brain, so you have 2 days to cleanse your receptors, and then you take it again, and you just do that, and you keep that regimen up just like it was a vitamin. I do this. Well, I take a lot of mushroom supplements, actually, and I think that psilocybin is just as important as these other mushroom supplements for some of the unique compounds they have that can be really beneficial to us. And psilocybin's right along with them, with reishi and quadriceps and agarikon. There's all these really awesome mushrooms that I really recommend people look up, but psilocybin's right along there with it. And you have the ability to take a high dose and have a very different experience, but it's still a beneficial thing for your body, and I really, really feel that. And that's why I have a lot more experience with psilocybin mushrooms, because I feel, and that study came out, it's the safest drug there is, and other than taking too much or taking it with a bad intention or no intention, there's really a really, really low chance that a negative outcome will come from anyone attempting to take them. The biggest negative outcome would be stemming from its illicit nature. Trying to acquire your mushrooms is probably the most dangerous thing that poses a threat to anyone attempting to take psilocybin mushrooms. So, you know, that's what I have to think about microdosing. Like, try it. You know, a lot of people that shit on it haven't tried it. A lot of people that shit on it just have taken a lot and they've seen some crazy things. I understand. I can't even fathom what 30 grams of mushrooms are. And I understand that if you've taken that, yeah, taking 0.10 grams probably sounds stupid. But again, it's not on anybody to judge anybody else's experience. And that's just how microdosing falls into that same thing. And, you know, I don't know about LSD microdosing. I think that that's beneficial psychologically maybe, but what I like about the psilocybin microdosing is the neurogenesis aspect of the actual like compounds in the mushroom. So anyway, that's just what I think about dosing. Do your research, know your intention, and stick to your intention. And whatever dosage you plan to do, and at whatever frequency you plan to do, I think as long as you stick to what feels right to you, and you're not following anyone else's, dosage shaming, and you don't, you're not afraid of some crazy exaggerated story that someone told. Just, do your research, read. It's all out there. There's videos like this. There's other videos. Just that's all research, man. Like I said, keep spreading the love, guys. Definitely, subscribe to me and hit a thumbs up if you like what I'm having to say on my videos. All right, peace, guys.